number you have dialed is not available at present. Please leave your message after the beep.
It's so absurd to me, things that you said that left a burn on me. I can't find my way without you. I can't find my way without you. I can't find my way without you. Where do we go from here? Tiptoeing around, I guess it's playing by ear. Oh, I had to look at you. How you laughed, that shit felt so sincere. It's so absurd to me. Things that you said that left a burn on me. I can't find my way without you. 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 You are the way on my finger. You are the way on my finger.
I don't wanna fight this. Let it take me. Kinda wanna risk it. Maybe break me. Are we capable or unstable? Living on a landslide. Even when we're alright. Living on a landslide. Even if we're alright. Riding through the unknown. Better hold tight. Over climbing this slope. When it's this high. Are we capable or unstable? Living on a landslide. Even when we're alright. Living on a landslide. Even if we're alright. Living on a landslide.
probably wasted enough everyone's time here.
No.
It's always the cool songs that start when we're getting ready to start the show.
I know. Come on. Play them sooner.
I mean, I was supposed to. I'm a hack and a fraud, so
That's okay. I'm here because the beard compelled me to be here.
It's true. The beard compels everyone to be here. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, stick around because we are going to be doing that vote. And I want to see how many of you are going to be wrong when you say leftover Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Oh, God. All right, let's get this started.
Distance nerding.
Hey! I'm still on the wrong screen. What the hell's going on right now? Hey!
Buttons are hard.
Oh, yes. No, it's not the buttons that are hard. It is the fact that there's like 13 different screens and like there's multiple pictures. I blame StreamYard.
As do I. Damn them.
I blame StreamYard for a lot of things.
It's why StreamYard's fault why I'm bald. I mean, it's true.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are here. It is time. It is Thursday. It is time for the build. Now, we are going to be continuing with the Groot dancing Groot build that I'm doing. But of course, we've got an amazing set of guests on the show. But before we jump into all of that, before we jump into the build and our guests and the fun stuff we're going to do there, as always, we got to talk about who keeps the lights on. Ladies and gentlemen, this show is brought to you by the good folks over at Debbie. That's right. Debbie is a brand of energy drinks created to help focus concentration reaction time with no jitters or crash. Debbie contains no maltodextrin, no sugar, no fillers, no artificial colors or dyes. Now, I know Graveyard is thinking this right now because I can read his mind, but he's wondering why, Phil, why should I be drinking Debbie above all the other things that are out there? I'm going to tell you why. Debbie contains Neurofactor. Neurofactor is a neurotropic derived from the coffee fruit. Neurofactor helps give your brain focus and clarity, while the 150 milligrams of caffeine and 3 essential B vitamins help you stay alert and energized. Find out more about Debbie at www.debbie.gg. Use the code NERDING10 to get 10% off your order. Deliciousness. They come in amazing flavors. There's like 4 new flavors that I haven't purchased yet because money. But
money, damn it.
Yeah, I know. It's like more W or turn off the lights in my house. I thought about it for a minute.
I mean, you will take only $1 million to go against Mike Tyson and just get tickle fights with him, and W won't run away from the fight.
Exactly,
like
100% true. Yeah, Prime will run away from the fight. W will not. I'll go ape Super Saiyan on you. That's what'll happen.
There you go.
Well, with that being said, let's jump into this. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's guests are so talented. We honestly shouldn't even be on the same show with them. It's kind of embarrassing that this level of talent is forced to have to talk with laymen like us. Now, from animation to advertising to comics and graphic novels, I don't think we have enough time to go through the amount of work they've done and talk about such an amazing book, but we're going to do our best. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Art Ebuin. I'm saying that wrong. I should have asked him earlier. And Dave Law, the team behind California Inc.
What's up, fellas?
Hey, how you doing tonight?
Very good.
Is it Edwin?
It's Edwin, but it's close.
Edwin. That is take might be my card away from me. It's fine.
No, it's better than what I usually hear, which is put the U in the beginning. You say Eubin. I'm like, how'd you get the U in the beginning?
Okay.
So you're way closer than a lot of people.
Yeah, still wrong. Terrible. Really bad.
You guys
Uh,
nailed mine. You nailed my name. Perfect.
Also, oh, phew.
Perfect.
it's like, no, because my name isn't hard at all. Just
It's not even David. It's just Dave.
it's okay. I go by Young Phil because my name is too hard for people to get. So it's like
Now I'm
Philippe.
curious.
No, Philippe Ferre, but like most people will look at my name and go, Felipe Ferry? Sure, close enough. That's fine.
And no one knows my real last name because it won't fit on the screen.
No, it would. Well, we try very hard to make sure that Matt is, Graveyard is either referred to as Graveyard. I fucked it up. No bits here. All right. Graveyard or the beard, if you're spicy.
Ooh, I like the beard. I wish I could grow a beard like that. I'm beard envious of that. That's
Yes, the many empty patches are embarrassing. I got like 3 hairs I can name them.
I always joke like the Asian stereotype of like the facial hair that just like goes down like that. You know, like
you?
that.
Mine doesn't even
how
doesn't
my
even
facial
connect.
hair would look if I tried to grow it out. It would just be that, and it would, you know.
You got to grow a Fu Manchu so long that you can just go.
Have you seen the monkey tail? It goes like this.
I have. It's so ridiculous.
Couldn't come close to doing that. It'd be like chopped up.
That is like that is the Asian equivalent to white trash. It's so bad. That is like on our end. It's the Edgar haircut. It's so bad. I don't know why so many people are into that. It's like, let me go get an Edgar. Why? That is like a bowl cut on steroids. What are you doing?
Yeah. I didn't rock a bowl cut in the 90s. Not at all.
I had a rat tail. Like every Hispanic kid had. So I had the rat tail coming out of the back.
I could see you pulling that off. You know, like the rat tail is one of those haircuts. Some people just don't, you know, but some people, and I think you got it. I think you got the right. You got what it takes to pull off the rat tail. I can do that.
I had the rat tail as a kid, and then in my teens, again, like every Hispanic and every Filipino kid I know, I had braids. So,
Wait a minute, braids? Not this Filipino. I don't remember that at all in my area. No, the rat tail. Yes, that was a heavy hitter by the time back in the
Bay Area. Cornrows was like the major thing.
That's why I'm in San Diego. Yeah.
So I'm originally from San Francisco, so run around with cornrows.
Cool. I wish I was cool enough to rock cornrows now.
Whether they look good on you or not, you had them. So
oh.
now my Filipino nephew, he just had his cornrows put in, and he was like, "Wow, duh, but they're itchy." I'm like, "Alcohol cotton swab," and you go between the lines. He's like, "Wait, seriously?" I was like, "Yeah, that's how you clean it." He was like, "You had braids?" I was like, "Once upon a time."
We should make it happen again.
I thought about it. I'd piss off my wife so much.
You could do like the one Padawan, like it comes down.
I thought about that too. Like, if I grow my hair out long enough and I do the one Padawan, Sandra, pictures don't exist. Literally, they don't.
We'll find it. Internet will find it.
They don't exist because it was a very short period of time that I had the braids.
Internet found it somewhere. I promise you.
Yeah. There's another picture that doesn't exist that I kind of hope never comes up. But at one point, when the Backstreet Boys and the NSYNC craze was going on, I had frosted tips. So,
I was gonna say, did you have the ramen hair?
Yeah.
Yes. How do we know exactly what that means? That's amazing.
Like hard. Anyways, all right, guys, let's jump into this. We've already wasted enough time with all the fun. Before we get into your story, guys, we're going to learn a little bit more about you. So we have a segment on the show called Growing Up Geeky. What did you guys geek out on when you were kids?
Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, me first? All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, definitely Star Wars was a big one. I know you guys love Star Wars.
Absolutely.
That was big for me. I feel like there's been a lot of Star Wars these days, but back when I was young, there was very little, and you just had to take what you could get. But definitely Star Wars, X-Men were a big one that I definitely signed my name to the geek community with being into that comic. I think those are probably, and you know, I also love Dungeons and Dragons. I loved all that stuff. So that's like, I think I was, you know.
What's your edition of Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh, there you go.
You know, I played Advanced Dungeons and Dragons for a little bit, and then you know, like I kind of went into me and some of my friends. We played this game. Do you remember? It was called GURPS. That's an acronym for something, but it was like a different kind of role playing system. But it wasn't so like attached to like the fantasy and dragons and stuff. So you could do like you know, modern day stuff, and it was pretty fun. It was pretty cool. I don't know a lot of people who have heard of it ever since then, but it was kind of big at the time when I was a teenager.
Whoa. No, never heard the GURPS.
GURPS.
Never heard of the GURPS.
Like GERPS or GURPS?
GURPS.
There's no E in there.
GURPS.
Because that'd be too close to herpes, actually. If you just add an E in there. We don't want that. We don't want that.
In the Bay Area, there is another term for GURPS, but it's not a good thing.
Oh, no. It probably came from the game.
Yeah, no. Out in the Bay, if you're GURPing, you were high out of your mind.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
All
shit.
right,
He is GURPing hard.
Wow.
Nothing wrong with that.
I mean, that is where you do live, Dave. You do live in the Bay Area.
I do, you know. So I guess, you know. Actually, I'm surprised I don't know that saying. I'm definitely out of the loop, I guess, because
Especially 650, man. Like
650. Yeah, that's me.
Man, I'm trying to figure out what GURPS stands for. I
Right.
found what it is, but like it's written as like Steve Jackson games. You can still get stuff for it, or there's like his thread that's from 2004 about it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now too. It's really an old school looking website too, right? I'm happy to see a little like.
Now you got me searching.
We all need to know what GURPS is and bring it back. We'll do all online play of it.
Yeah, there we go. I gotta dig out my old character.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you what it stood for. I can't remember anymore.
It might not stand for anything.
I got it. Great unnamed role-playing system.
Someone is skilled in the search engine.
Oh, well, I'm saying it's general universal role-playing system. It's interesting.
Oh, here's the thing. I found mine in a forum, so there's a good chance it's wrong.
I think it's generic. I think generic sounds right because I think
Generic?
that was the idea, was that you could use it for like space, you could use it for dragons and stuff, you could use it for modern day, you could do all sorts of cool stuff with it. So
I like the idea of great unnamed role playing system because it's just like, yeah, no, we just couldn't think of a name. So
Well, it fits in line with everything in the 80s, 90s when we were kids, having to have acronyms that stood for something, right? They had this. All the villains had this great name that you had to have some acronym for it.
That's true.
Awesome.
That's true. I'm trying to think of a good example though, and I know you're right. You got a good example?
It was in wasn't He-Man had one? G.I. Joe definitely had one. Cobra stand for something.
Oh, you're right. Cobra did stand for something.
That's right. Oh my gosh, Cobra. What did it stand for? Jeez, I should know.
Phil, do you know?
Off the top of my head, I don't. I almost wore my Cobra shirt tonight too.
Oh, MODOK. Yeah, Delon says MODOK.
Well, MODOK, I know.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Not Cobra Insurance.
Yes. They branched off from the 80s. You know what? We need to become real villains. We'll go into insurance.
Here, I'm looking at it right now. So Cobra.
What did Cobra stand for?
Cobra is a fictional.
It's fictional.
Wait. The guy who turned into a snake isn't real?
Now you're sending me all these G.I. Joe PSAs, but nothing.
I was like, it's a fictional terrorist organization.
Well, speaking of geekdom that I grew up on, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Voltron, Mask, and Centurions. Those are like specifically like Transformers, as you see here, bunch of G1 stuff, and Voltron were. Yeah. Now I'm like, I don't know if I should have Cobra G.I. Joe on my list if I don't know what Cobra stands for.
Well,
you must be excited for like all the Nasil stuff that's coming out.
Which ones?
all the Nassau company.
Oh yeah. There's so much nostalgia coming out. I'm just like you mentioned earlier, like regarding Dubby, I can't afford everything I want.
No.
It's
Dude,
Yeah.
I do a show about building Lego. I can't
Oh my gosh.
anything, man.
You know that day after Christmas, running to Target and getting all those sales on the
Yeah.
floor. That's the move right there. All those Lego are just like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Trust
the move.
trust me, my wife will agree. I have too many collections of stuff as it is. She's like, you can't start collecting anything else.
Well, it's I mean, it's the healthier habit, you know,
Mhm.
right? There's
Exactly.
plenty of other bad things we could be into.
So, Art, the question is, you talked about Generation One. So, were you original watcher of the Transformers, or you like me? My first Transformers was because my parents let me have it growing up. Was Beast Wars?
Oh no.
I'm pretty old, so yes, I grew up with the OG. The 84 through 80, like 86 movie was like I saw it. That was when people listen. I love Transformers 1, as we were talking about earlier. Surprisingly, I loved it. But when people say it's the best Transformers movie, I'm like, hold on.
You've never watched Transformers the animated movie.
Yeah, they probably mean like against anything made by Michael Bay, you know.
Well,
Oh, no,
I
no,
mean,
that's
it's
fair.
probably better than anything made by Michael Bay.
True.
No. We can't all say that because Transformers 1 was produced by Michael Bay.
Yes. But I think just like Bumblebee, he didn't actually direct it, right? He just helped produce it. He was an executive producer.
Based on the character from his movie.
Right.
From his movie, it wasn't. He didn't make the character.
No.
No, but I mean that version of Bumblebee was based
yeah, I
on
know.
the version from his
Yeah.
shitty movie.
Wow. How do you really feel?
I remember that first Transformers cartoon, and that when I watched it as a kid, I thought it was the greatest movie ever made. Like, I laughed.
Why did that change?
I cried.
Because it still is the best thing.
I'm gonna get myself in trouble with this group.
No,
and
dude.
not that long ago, and I was like, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, trust me, I was defending myself on this show last week for something. So yeah, it's all good. We like
Okay,
across the board.
we do a lot of debating on this show when it comes to like nerd properties and everything like that. So I found I guess Cobra doesn't actually have an acronym.
Oh,
there is a
I thought it did.
no, so there's a rumor, but Hama said that it's he like debunked it. So when the creator of the show debunks it, you know it's not like real. But
sure.
one that people are saying it is Conversion by Black Male Revolution and Anarchy, and the CO is the CO in Conversion. But Cobra does have a subgroup called Venom, and that actually is an acronym.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, and Venom, I was just looking at it. Let me find it real quick.
Yeah, it's funny. If you look it up, there's actually a villain acronym team named Generator.
Vicious Evil Network of Mayhem.
Yep, you said it.
I happen to be on the wiki.
That's what I was looking at. Are you on Joe Wiki?
No, I'm on just a regular. The Cobra / G.I. Joe wiki.
Yeah,
Nice.
Joe Wiki gives you everything G.I. Joe. It's great.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But as Dave's talking, you're talking about as well. Mask was an acronym.
That's right.
So it's just like I said, they just picked the name. They just filled in random things here. So we can go. Let's make the League of Dave, and then we'll have Dave spell out something.
Well, let's figure out what that means. Deadly. Average.
I was thinking like action.
There, deadly action versus
Voluptuous.
everyone. Voluptuous. Oh, I'm sweating. That's good. Dave got real sexy for a second. Not that you're not. Not that you're not. You just got a little extra sexy.
Awesome. I love this. But we have our second question too for you guys. If a movie was made about your life, who would play you and why?
Dave. No.
Oh, wait, no.
Dave would play you?
Oh man. Oh.
That's a hard question.
Maybe because I did have the bowl haircut at the time and had a round face like him, Ernie Reyes Jr. I don't know. from what's that?
I don't know.
From the Last Dragon,
I can't.
Yeah.
minus the dexterity.
What about you, Dave?
Ah, jeez. You know, I'm gonna go a different route. Like I've been told, I kind of look. You guys remember a kid show called Yo Gabba Gabba?
Yeah. Yes.
Like the host for that show, I've been told I kind of look like an Asian.
DJ
version,
Lance Rock.
You know, and yeah, I'd take DJ Lance. He could be me. That'd be like kind of like you know, changing it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Also, like revitalizing his career.
Yeah.
The height of his career was Yo Gabba Gabba. Yeah.
He is so good to fans at conventions. He shows up every time in costume, in character, and he's so like grateful to fans. It's really amazing. The show's been going for a while, but he just knows that he wouldn't be where he's at with his fans.
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing. It's pretty cool.
Awesome.
I stand by that choice then.
Yeah, there's always something like you can tell like who is a good person by the way they treat their fans.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Silvestri is a good one, right? He will, if you're in luck to be in line for him to sign your books, hopefully you're not behind somebody who asks for a drawing, because he will spend literally 45 minutes to make sure they get a great piece. That's and awesome. He'll just keep applauding everybody in line. Like, I'm sorry, I just want to give him. And you can't get mad at him. He's so cool. He's so cool.
Yeah, but that's awesome, you know, because I like to think that if I was ever playing the same character over multiple things and people like that and wanted me to do it, I would do it forever. I would be that character forever, because, you know, a lot of people say I like to be known for that guy or that character. I do so much more. I'm like, but to get recognized for that character, who cares if it's, you know, 50 years later?
Especially if it has a good connotation to it, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you know who else is like that is Rob Paulson.
Oh.
Rob Paulson is probably the nicest dude I've met, like, ever.
Voice of
Pinky
Raphael.
from Bane, the original Raphael from Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yakko from Animaniacs. You know,
versatile, very versatile.
Cool.
Wow, I didn't realize that was the same dude.
Right?
Hello, nerds. Yakko Porter here in the Water Tower. Do you know that the only podcast that Wacko, Dot, and I, and Dr. Scratch and Stiff listen to is the Distance Nerding Podcast. So listen. Good night, everybody.
Yes, he did those. But wait, for you guys specifically.
Hey, Raphael. Yeah, that's right. The original Raphael of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I just saw Shredder the other day. You know what he was listening to? The Distance Nerding Podcast. I was going to kick the hell out of him, but because he's got taste in podcasts, I let him slide this time. So do yourself a favor. Listen to the Distance Nerding Podcast. Have yourself a hot fudge marshmallow tuna fish and Doritos pizza and turtle power.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
So cool.
Love him so much. He did 5 of them for us.
Yeah.
What a performer. And he didn't even like break or pause in between or stutter. What a performer. Amazing. Well done.
All right, Dave. Chat figured out your acronym. Dangerously average villain element.
That's amazing.
Oh God, our chat is the most amazing, except for the fact that they want to put Labyrinth over the Lord of the Rings. But
man, we could geek out all day on this stuff, but we gotta get into the meat potatoes of you guys' comic, right? I mean, I said, first off, appreciate us being able to read it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, spoiler-free zone here, of course. But we want to get a little bit more about the two of you. So, you know, you worked in the ad industry and worked in animation. So, how did you pivot from that into writing?
I've always kind of had storytelling in my background from doing animation and then moving on into advertising, it's always been about the storytelling.
Mhm.
And working my way in advertising to become a creative director, I've always worked with clients and helping tell their story. And one of my bigger frustrations at the time when I was in advertising, just step back for a second. I had met Justin, our editor. He's a writer too, and he knew me in advertising. And I always told him, like, I wish I could take the amount of studying that I would do for a client for a 30-second ad and spend like 3 or 4 months of just studying the heck out of what that client does, so I could be an expert and speak on their behalf.
Mhm.
And then I would write a 30-second spot or do like a billboard or something. But it's always very intentional. And I just was like, I wish I could do more. So, like, you talk about writing a comic, let's do it. So I kind of just went for it, and haven't looked back since. And I've actually dropped the pencil. I haven't been drawing as much, and I've been really enjoying writing way more. But I do miss the drawing, so every once in a while I'll pick it up. I'll try to make sure I balance it out during the week. One day for drawing, one day for writing, kind of going back and forth. Mostly writing, so 3 days of writing, 2 days of drawing.
That's awesome, because I know we were doing our research. You actually worked on The Simpsons and Futurama. How'd you even get into that?
Apparently with like Futurama and The Simpsons, like, how did you meet Matt Groening, and how did he bring you on to every project?
I wish I knew the guy. I didn't. I actually moved to LA out of San Diego with a broken dream. I wanted to be an animator, and I didn't get into the college I wanted to, which is CalArts. Like, that's like the animation art school.
Yeah.
And so I was like, my friends and I were like, let's just move to LA and go study at a bunch of schools, build our book, and either make it into industry or make it into CalArts. And I was applying to CalArts multiple times as I was building my book and applying to studios, and I landed both at the same time. It was Futurama, and I got accepted into CalArts. And everybody who got into Futurama most of them got recruited from their senior year at CalArts. I was like, well, then I kind of have my character animation, built up. So I took the job at Futurama, and then I moved on to The Simpsons after the first season. I was on The Simpsons from season 10 through 13, something like that.
So what you're saying is, when you left, that's why The Simpsons declined after season 13.
No, gosh, no. Actually, I'll give you full disclosure. Actually, my passion for drawing, which was really hard for me to accept at the time, started to decline. My passion for drawing, I was like, look, I'm at The Simpsons. There was a season there where our team got the Emmy. That's awesome, right? I'm at the dream, and I'm sitting there drawing, and it was 8 at night, and I was like, why am I not happy? And so it showed in my work. And actually, full disclosure, I wasn't asked to come back after my last season. So I wasn't technically laid off, but I wasn't. Usually you get called back, and it showed in my work. And so at that time, it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because I was like, there's something wrong with my dream to be an artist. It wasn't that path. And so I was like, let me go study something else. I want to go study design, advertising, and photography. And I put that all in towards what I'm doing now. So drawing for me, I think, is what I like doing more. But animation really burnt me out. The amount of drawing we would do in one day was ridiculous.
I've seen a lot of behind the scenes stuff of people just flipping and flipping just to get everything in spot.
Yeah, one of my moments that it was 3 days for a scene that went by on screen, and it took like 1.2 seconds. And it took me about 3 or 4 days straight of just drawing the scene out. And I was like, really? Just I mean, it was fun. It was great. The novelty wore off, and yeah, it showed in my work, and I'll own up to that.
So then for this comic, then obviously we have.
I was actually going to say it was interesting before I started doing all the research on you. I saw the variant covers that you had done, and I was like, dude, he can draw. Good artist, man. And then I started doing the research. I was like, that's why. Okay.
Yeah, I could still draw, not as well as Dave and not as quickly as him. Like, it takes me a lot longer just to kind of knock off the rust. You go from 10 hours a day to a couple hours a week, you definitely lose a little bit. But yeah, still enjoy it for sure.
So then how did you meet up with Dave to have him come in the comic then?
Comic conventions, right? That's how we met. I wrote the
LA Comic-Con, right?
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
Wrote all 4 issues just to make sure I knew that I could write a full series. I didn't want to show up to somebody like Dave, who's been in the industry for a while, and say, "Hey, do you want to do my comic?" I'm a nobody. He'll be like, "Well, why would I spend time on a book that won't go anywhere?" So I wanted to make sure all 4 issues were done. They were edited by Justin. It took me about 2 years to find Dave as a partner. And it just so happened we were just my buddy and I were walking up and down the aisles at LA Comic Con at Artist Alley. Dave's artwork drew me in, and I met a few people that day. But I mean, I vividly remember seeing Dave's work. Like, that's really cool. And I didn't mention the comic book. Just started talking to him. We hit it off as buddies. He's just, I know, we were just joking like immediately with each other. I was like, that's a funny dude. Like, he's a good guy. And even my buddy who was walking, he's like, you kind of want to work with Dave, don't you? I was like, I think I do. So, and I came back towards the end of the day. I was like, hey, I'm looking to commission you. And I think he thought I meant like a commission. I was like, no, can I commission you do like a whole book? He's like, what? And I love, my favorite thing was his response was, can I read it first? I want to know if I like it. And that's a good sign. He's not looking for just a paycheck. And, you know, he wanted to partner up and just being fun for himself too. And it shows in the work. If someone's having fun, it shows in the work. And it definitely shows, especially in this last book. Oh my gosh. Dave, some of those pages. Whew.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Like generally, some of the work that when I was looking Dave up was like, wow, he's done pretty. Like again, the only way that I can describe him, and we'll get to Dave in a little bit here, but I use the word prolific because it's.
Can you agree that you could tell Dave's a big fan of music? You could feel there's music driving a lot of those pages sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's keep talking about Dave like he's not in the room.
Yes. Well, let's get to that.
You can keep going. I'm fine with that.
Well, it's great to hear that story because, like I said, I did a con a couple weeks ago, about a month and a half ago at this point, and talking to people in the industry and indie creators and stuff like that, I go, I want to talk to these people more and invite them to our shows and stuff and build that connection. And it really shows, especially with this comic, that networking is a huge part that people don't always take into account, I feel.
Yeah, actually, if you don't mind me jumping for a second, Dave, that going from the other side of the table to behind the table, if you don't have that book or that whatever, people they take you seriously as a friend, but they don't really take you seriously until the book comes out. And Dave has seen that shift for me as the guy being in front of the table, talking to the guy behind the table. And over the last 2 years, just meeting people behind the table and telling them about my book, getting to know them, and then just kind of building that kind of like, hey, no, this is real. When the book came out, they then were pushing out the Kickstarter for me as well because they knew I was actually doing the work. And then you got somebody as established as, for me, as Dave as an illustrator, Justin as an editor for like Dark Horse and Image, and you've got Frank, our letter who letters like every book on the planet. So I was surrounded by people who were like, no, this is real, even though we don't know who this guy is yet. So it really helped out.
He only worked on Futurama and The Simpsons, but
you never heard of them.
I haven't written anything.
I only worked on small indie projects that nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But Dave, for you, you are, as Phil said, prolific artist with multiple projects from cyberpunk to geopolitical projects like California Inc. How do you keep it up? Are you snorting, dubbing nonstop, or are you just consuming all the pills and truck stops you can possibly find?
A little bit of both, yeah.
Wipes off the blood.
Okay, joke writer, as you can tell. So
that's a good question. That's comic book drawing. It's hard in that, like, there's so many cool. I think a lot of great ideas start in comic book form, and I think it's really hard. You hear these great ideas, you wanna do them all, and so like I think as a comic book artist, you just have to be comfortable with drawing all the time. Like you have to do it not only to make enough money to survive like it with it, but also just it's like Art was saying, it's definitely a muscle. I remember when I first decided to go professional, sitting and drawing for 8 hours a day, like people just think, oh, you're sitting at home drawing, and yeah, it's definitely not like being a plumber. That's just much more physical. But it's hard to draw for like 8 hours a day for 5-7 days a week. Actually, I draw pretty much every day, and I work on something every day. And so yeah, it took a while to kind of get that kind of the strength and endurance to do that. But I think the awesome thing about comic books is, like I said, the abundance of awesome things to draw, and you've got great partners giving you just the fantastic ideas of things to draw. It's hard to not be excited and kind of keep motivated. And I like and I think this is kind of like with animation too. With comic books, the more you draw the story, the more the characters start to come to life, the more the scene starts to take action, and it's kind of addictive. Like when you get a couple pages and you go back and you see the magic suddenly kind of happen when these characters that you were just doodling or drawing, now they're talking, they've got emotions, they're crying, they're sad, they're angry, and if you did it right, that's when the magic starts to happen. And I think that's what I really feed off of that. I really love that. So yeah, I think I've been lucky to have great people to work with. Almost every
Embarrassing me.
Stop it.
Yeah, so yeah, I've just been lucky that way, and I think it's just a ton of fun. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but I think it takes a certain someone to draw comics, and I think if you really love drawing, you love drawing everything and the challenge of trying to draw everything, then it's an amazing job. It's a lot of fun, and it's not hard to become, I guess, prolific. It's funny when I do look back on the body of work that I've done, or you just even look at the pile of pages that I have sitting in the corner of my office, and I realize, dang, that's a huge stack of artwork that you've been doing. It's kind of I don't know what the word would be, but it surprises even me.
when you posted that pic of all 96 pages of our book over the last 2 years of four issues, I like choked up because I wrote that years ago. And when you first started making the first character designs, even then I was already like goosebumps, freaking out. I can't believe like it's been 2 years since we started this series and we're done. And then like to see it quote end, I'm just like, did we just finish that? Like that was so cool. And just I think one thing that I love about Dave's work is specifically, I think because I was an animator, is his acting in his characters. It's like there's a lot of great figurative artists out there, but if you can't get the expression and the bodily gesture that goes with the acting of the moment, I don't care how well you render the crap out of it, it doesn't feel right. But Dave's acting and his emotion in the work is just always just right on. I love it. So it's just nothing but, if not a compliment, it really enhances the script so much.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you can draw feet, no.
Very expressive feet.
As long as you're not suffering from Liefeld syndrome, you're not.
Exactly.
Nothing against Liefeld, Rob. We love you, but
he had a Levi's commercial. Come on, with Spike Lee, right? Wasn't that what it was?
Yeah. It's like all jokes aside. It's like all jokes aside, Rob. We all know you can't draw feet, so.
They made a joke about it in the movie, right?
Exactly. I mean, that's
comic book drawing is like or at least a good comic book artist. They're like actors that are afraid of being in front of a camera or a screen or on stage, right? You do think about the acting a lot. You think about acting a lot, and I realized that one day. I was like, I love movies and I love theater and I love all kinds of performance art. And I realized that I think a lot of that is I'm absorbing kind of various people's interpretation of the human emotions, which you can have your own backlog of what you think that looks like, but as you see different people kind of interpret it, whether it be real life or acting, I find that really interesting, and I really think about that when you're delivering a panel for a particular line of dialogue.
You mentioned that thing about acting, and I remember when we were drawing in animation, we had this other board with a mirror, so we make facial expressions and just see what they look like. But it's funny, I'm seeing now like the making of Arcane or just other artists that I follow, like the tools that they have to then get reference is taking a photo of themselves and then it becomes like a screenshot on screen, or doing a specific angle. Like, oh, we did not have that back in the flip phone days. Back when we had, was it, the Nokia with Snake on there? Like that's no cameras that easily available for us to use.
I like using a mirror for myself, but I did find, like, when I was doing that a lot, I started to realize, like, a lot of the characters, they started to look like me. And it felt creepy. In particular, when you look at the women, you're like, look at the women, you're like, man, did I just draw me in drag? Like,
as Dave's sitting there with a wig on.
Well, when I first met Dave, how long was your hair? It was like down to like your shoulder blades, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So this for me is kind of a newer development. Like over the last 6 months, I saw Dave at a convention. Like, what'd you do to your head? Like, is your artwork weak now?
Yeah, I actually saw that picture of Dave with the long hair.
Oh yeah, exactly. I think I might have posted it somewhere on like Convention Life or something.
That's awesome. I like the long hair. Every once in a while, George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic, he said one time, you gotta redefine yourself every once in a while. And I've always thought that was kind of a good quote. You gotta redefine it. Every once in a while, change it up. Obviously think about it, but it's worth reevaluating that. And I can see, Art, you're growing your hairline.
I have been actually. Yeah,
going on.
Yeah, I'm looking for the Edgar real soon. We're working on
that. See, for me, I turned 18. It's time for a change. Let's try bald.
Yeah, because
see how that works,
guys. It's crazy because he did that by choice.
Yeah,
that's all right.
Willed it to be. I've got the recipe to make it change back.
Nice.
So it just grows. It just grows down now instead.
Yeah.
Well, that is a strong brag. You could do the beard where Dave and I cannot.
He found the cure for baldness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It just goes the other way.
It just follows gravity.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, Dave, we talked to a lot of comic book artists too. Do you ever record yourself doing something? Because we talked to artists that we have to get someone flying, so we're gonna swing from a rope and see what that looks like and capture it, record it, and then still it out. Do you ever do something like that?
I definitely will do photos of myself in various poses that I think I want to try to capture, and just to kind of get the lighting and get some maybe the clothes to the folds of the clothes and stuff like that. But I still try to leave a good amount up to my interpretation, and I've never gone so far as to take the stills of a physical motion, which I think would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I've used. I'm a big fan of track and field. And so I've definitely looked at that for different kinds of poses for, I remember I did an image for this book series called Vigilante War. And they had these characters jumping from roof to roof. And so I was like, whoa, I'll go take a look at some of the long jumpers and see kind of how their bodies are, and kind of take something from that and take a pose from that. And so that was cool, and I remember thinking it was a great place to find that kind of a pose for that, or a couple poses, because there was a couple of characters. But no, I've never physically done it with myself. I think there's a point with comic books where you're trying to there's you want to create something compelling for someone to read, but you also have to do it fast. And so I think if I were to do that, I think I would probably create some really cool panels like that. But there's the speed element that would definitely slow down if you're doing that. If it's the focal cover or the real focal point of the page, maybe I would consider doing something more like that. But I think and at least the comic book artists too that I admire are the ones that just draw it. You know, like I
Right,
know
right.
referencing is a big thing, and I still reference, but like the goal is that you eventually can create these things without having to reference too much, and then you kind of have this database in your head. You know,
Right.
100%.
So you say that I can't get a special issue called the Dangerously Average Villain Element issue, where it's just Dave in all different poses from every scene.
they'll be dangerously average. You know? It'll just be, you know.
I think that is something for like a top tier Kickstarter. He like redraws the entire book, but it's all pictures of himself.
I want to get a hold of Dave's phone and find all those shots, and then that could be a book in itself.
Exactly.
You know, my
That
wife
coffee
is
table book.
looking at my my you know my screen my like you know how your computer you can do like a quick shot of your face, you know, like
Yeah.
And I would do that a lot for expressions, and pretty much that's all I used it for, because it's like I was never really taking photos from my computer's camera for anything else besides that. And one day we just found like all the pictures, and we just scrolled through them all, and it was pretty hilarious. I mean, you got every expression you can imagine. Me with my shirt off, me with like a shirt
Whoa.
off my head, you know, holding like a Nintendo gun, and like just like
That is 100% the Kickstarter
Dave After Dark.
reward everybody wants.
Is there a Dave pulling off the Miley Cyrus wrecking ball scene?
I hope so. I hope so.
Just saying. I mean, that's what I see in my head. That's it. I mean,
If you're like a wrecking ball.
anybody else? You all thought the same thing, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Normal.
I've been picturing it since the beginning of the show.
Right.
So I mean, obviously, you with artists and for both of you here, comic books. You guys grew up reading them. Is that something you always had a passion for?
I embarrassingly had tons and tons and tons of comics, and my roommates used to make fun of me for not reading them. I looked at them for just the art because I would try to draw. Like I want to be Jim Lee, so I was always just mimicking the drawings. And finally, my buddy was like, "Do you know you have this?" I'm like, "What is that?" It's the first appearance of blank. I'm like, I guess I don't know. I had multiples of everything because I forgot I bought them, and I had just many long boxes of books that I'd never read. But yes, I had a ton of them. Did not read any of them until I recently started reading. Like I reread or started reading like Planetary like a couple of years ago. Star Wars. I did not watch Star Wars until I got into the animation industry because I got so much shit for not watching all Star Wars.
As you should.
Right. but it's funny because my son, so I went on this huge tangent. My son, growing up, our way to connect is I showed him Star Wars, and then we started watching Clone Wars, the series, and then Rebels, and like now we're just like massive Star Wars fans. Like the last time I was at Galaxy's Edge, it was just me and my buddy. We spent 3 hours with our phone just unlocking things. Two old men in their 40s like unlocking things. Sorry, I went on a huge tangent.
Oh, it's all good.
that makes for good content. You're fine.
Yeah, my son's at that age too. He's 9. He's watched all Star Wars. He has Star Wars Legos. He's like, "Did you know?" I'm like, "Yes,
Of course.
I know.
Listen, I knew.
I've known for a while."
Is your son at the age? Because it happened to me where I can't beat him in Mario Kart, and it really hurts my soul.
No.
Dave's seen it. Dave was there.
It's coming, Graveyard. So like for me, it was Mario. It was Smash Brothers. Bros. And my son really loved that game. And me and a good friend of mine, he'd come over like once a week, and we'd play video games. And that was the game we all kind of liked. And we'd play, and my son was like, he'd try the characters. Sometimes you kind of let him win a little bit, but it was clear who was winning all the time. And then I swear, just one day, something switched, and he just started kicking our asses left and right. Like he would even change a character just because he's like, all right, I'm tired of beating you guys with this character. I probably know that it moves too much. I'm going to go to this one character I've never used before. Boom. Our asses get smeared across the floor. it got like I think neither of us were prepared for it because it's been years of us playing these games. Suddenly we're just like it got real quiet. It got uncomfortable. You know, you start to go like, all right, I can't let him beat me this bad. I'm gonna start trying now.
You
right?
started leaning. You started to like lean in, right?
Yeah. And it's you know what I feel I wish I could rewind and handle it with a little more grace. But
Punching him in the face was maybe
I sent him to his room with no dinner
for a week.
I'm gonna play a little bit better. Still gets wrecked.
It's real.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
yeah. Don't worry, graveyard. Just know that it's coming.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and prepare yourself for that because it's close. You got maybe a couple years.
Well, side note, I don't want to do too much of a tangent. It took me 14 years to beat my dad in ping pong. And my dad never let me win anything ever growing up. So
He's smarter than us. I should not have let my kid win because I can't win anymore.
So when I was about 16 years old, I beat him in ping pong. That was 24 years ago. We haven't played since because he refuses. As long as he is winning, it was fun.
For him.
For him.
I'll admit, I haven't done a whole lot of Smash Brothers since that day either.
No, it is humbling for sure when you're like, wow, they just passed me up, and my son will slow down and then pass me up again and slow down. And what are you doing?
He's toying with you.
Yeah, 100%. He's like, remember that vegetable you made me eat?
See, I just this weird thing where a kid's like, this game's too hard. I go, here, why don't you play some Mega Man X?
There you go. Oh my god.
See what hard is.
Or the old Ninja Turtles game too, when you're trying to float through.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
It's okay. We're gonna play Battletoads.
Oh yeah. I'm in on that.
Was even like Lion King was hard.
Yeah. Like you can get the new Xbox if you beat Silver Surfer on the NES.
That is
hard,
awful.
yeah.
He said, "If you beat Silver Surfer on the NES, that is horrible."
I will buy you a car.
Exactly. All right. So Dave, we'll keep it off the hand here because I can talk video games all night. What about you? When you grew up reading comics?
Yeah.
You said X-Men, so you grew up on the X-Men comics as probably the cartoon as well then.
Yeah, loved them both. X-Men was just so good at the time. It was exactly what I wanted. The art was so awesome. The story, it's funny, Art, you saying that, because I think if you were to ask me what any of the stories were at that time, I was like, I know them now, but at the time I really was.
Especially the new one, 97 was so good.
It was so good.
So good.
We did a whole show on it. It's so good.
We did.
Oh my god. Let's do it again right now. Let's go watch it.
But it was about a lot of the art too, and trying to mimic the masters of the time. And I didn't even remember when Rob Liefeld was like super hot. Like it was just like he was just doing something at that time that like all his books were just everyone loved them, but and I think there was something kind of magical about that time in comic books too. It felt like there was a lot of people coming in with like different styles and different approaches to the superheroes, and it was just really exciting. And I'm not surprised it was a heyday. But I did, I loved that. I love all the Image books. I remember when Image started with Wild and like Spawn and
that was a movement, wasn't it?
All of those books were so good, and I just the art was amazing, and it was so inspiring. And I think I was lucky to see that kind of a time in comics and see those artists creating those books. I mean, any of the artists that were on Image were all like amazing, and they're all kind of handling it in a different way. And I still look at some of those books and I'm inspired by those artists, like the Max. Sam Keith is just his art is timelessly so good. So I think I had that really kind of inspired me in the beginning. And at one point, I got much more into music than drawing, and I always would draw a lot still, and I like do a lot of like our concert posters or like covers for any kind of music releases we would do. But it kind of took a little back seat. And then in college, I was in a band, and I lived down the street from a comic book shop, so we'd do our band practice. We'd get kind of tired. You're gonna take a break. Let's go walk over to this comic shop and kind of stroll around. And at that time, I think that was when I think it was a little bit, maybe I was already just kind of jumping on the bandwagon, but Vertigo was doing all of that stuff. Sandman, Hellblazer, Preacher. And I started reading these books that weren't superhero comics, and then again just kind of got sucked right back into it. I remember Transmetropolitan was a book that I just thought was just a totally different kind of a comic, but at the same time, just really cool, really different. And then the stories at this point were definitely more capturing my interest. I think the art was cool and different, but it was the stories. It was so strong in those early books, and so I kind of got pulled back into it again. And I think at that point was when I really started to honestly think about how I could maybe draw comic books as a living. And there's some ups and downs from that point on, but for the most part, I think that's been what kind of drove me at that point to do comics. And I love superhero comics just like everyone else, but I realized there's a whole other world of comics that don't have to do with superheroes necessarily. And
yeah, it's interesting that
your
whole
Why the Last Man's and your Saga.
Yeah, 100%. That first iteration of Image was like so cool to watch them put like the big two on notice, right? And then I took a long break on comics, and then around, I forget what it was, 2010. That's around the time when it was like all that stuff from Image, like Saga, as you mentioned, and Lazarus. Lazarus, as Dave knows, like is a big influence on me. I was like, what's all this cool stuff? And that really pulled me back into comics. Is all that stuff from Image and Dark Horse and Boom, and it was just like, what's Dynamite? Even Dynamite had some good books. Those really got my attention. As you said, it's I didn't feel like intimidated because I don't know what the current Marvel summer event is, because I don't remember what character did what in the last 20 years. But look at this 10 issue series that's coming out. I could absorb it and then move on to the next story, and then you start following creators specifically, and that was really fun to watch. I was like, oh, they're here and they're there and they're there, and look at all this cool stuff they're making. So yeah, comics became a different kind of fun recently.
Yeah, and that's how you got into Robert Kirkman.
Who? The walking.
I think it is. I think it's the shuffling, not quite alive people.
Yeah, it took me a second.
That's shuffling, not quite alive people.
That's it. I'm making that comic. It's gonna be called "The Shuffling, Not Quite Alive People."
And you can't get a cease and desist for that. It's way too different.
No, I remember going up to the comic shops. I was a 90s. I collected basketball cards. I probably have every set from the 90s for basketball cards. But going to the comic, and then I can't collect all these comics. I can't get that Superman #1, even though it's only costs a penny. But
how old are you?
Really old? No. But I'm just saying, so I saw it with when Spawn #1 came out. I go, you know what? I like this artwork. It reminds me of, I didn't know at the time, it reminded me of the X-Men and the Venom and Spider-Man stuff, because obviously I didn't have the internet at that point in time to really put two and two together. So I started Spawn. And I ended up at Spawn number 200. I had 1 through 200.
Whoa, nice.
Dedicated.
I don't have it anymore.
Venom so much.
I had every Venom too. So
whoa.
Probably, and honestly, probably not realizing that it's the same guy.
Oh, definitely not. At that time, hell no. I did not realize that. But I think it's, you guys talking about the artwork, and I collect them. Everything was in the special sleeve in the comic book box, and I remember drawing from that too. I drew a sated shell for my art class as a Venom from comic book. I just recreated it, so that was fun for me. But
like on acetate and everything.
Yeah.
Awesome. Nice.
Yeah. But it's just, I think in our heads, when we see movies and TV shows from stuff that we grew up reading, we have, like, let's face it, X-Men are the 80s X-Men that we have in our heads for what they should look like on screen. Stories are different, but the look is still from those original creators, the artwork from the 80s too, that we have
those
in
late
our head.
Or the early 90s, late 80s versions of the character, because that really was kind of what we grew up on. Is that version, like, to this day. God, all of a sudden, the name was in my head as I was thinking what I was going to say.
The person getting old, Phil.
Yeah, I know.
Where am I?
Who the hell are you guys?
Who are you and what are you doing here? God damn it. Now it's going to bother me. Continue the conversation.
Okay. All right, Phil, we will. But no, like I said, it's just, like I said, in our heads, that's what we think. And like I said, we talk about Superman. We're looking, he's looking, I don't know DC, so forgive me. But the story is Superman Legacy, right? And his look is from there. But I think it's different. I don't think we necessarily have a big set look in some of the DC properties that we expect it to be, because I feel like we know the stories of DC more and the art style of Marvel more. At least that's just for me personally.
That kind of makes sense, I guess, because it doesn't change too much, as much as like they're not. I don't know.
Because let's face it, the story of the X-Men is Jean Grey dies. Scott hooks up with a clone of someone that looks like Jean Grey. She comes back to life. She dies. End of story. Next rotation. And he abandons another kid somewhere in the timeline.
Is a running joke on this show is the legacy of Summers is just that he abandons his children.
Yeah, and that's how we got Cable, right?
Yeah, generally just Summers abandon their kids.
Yep. His dad did. He managed like 8 of them. I did a second mutation bracket. And Scott Summers' second mutation was the power of child abandonment.
To be fair, you're going to tell me that Nate didn't abandon Hope. Right? He kind of did. So that's what I'm saying. Like, that is the legacy of Summers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you learn from your parents, right? So it's like,
My dad didn't love us enough. He just went into space and hooked up with some bunch of other people.
I guess that's what I should do to be a man.
Oh, it's so sad. My dad left his family. Me too. I'm gonna go out for some cigarettes. But you don't smoke. I'll be back to get some cigarettes.
So the brackets we do, just like, because we love comics, we love all things that are here, and we just like to have little jabs at comics as they go along because it's funny.
Yeah, it deserves it too.
All right, but we want to talk about California Inc. now. It was a fantastic read. Phil knows from doing the show that I now have an arsenal of independent comics books right over here, just because I stay away from comics for so long. And my wife goes, "What did you buy now?" But it's because we have great guests like you guys on that I just love what you guys do. So can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration of California Inc.?
That one came from a combination of things. As you know, you're kind of Midwest, but I'm from California. I'm from San Diego. I lived in LA. I've driven through the Southern Bible Belt, and I have family in the East Coast in Florida. I've lived in Boston, and I've noticed that it's amazing how different the coasts are from each other, but how much more they have in common than the rest of the U.S. in the middle, and not in a bad way. It's just different. But another thing that I thought was funny was anytime people found out I was from California, they'd be like, "Oh, you surf, you're vegan, you do yoga." It's like, kind of, but no, you're wrong. But yes. So, and at the time I was working in corporate America, kind of laughing at kind of the corporate structure and how geopolitical it does feel within a corporate structure. And just, I guess the story things are popping in my head, like, what if Californians got their way? Because Justin and I were talking, our editor, about how California at the time was the fourth or fifth strongest economy in the world. We're second, by the way, the second strongest economy. And what's holding us back is having our own fresh water source. So in my head, I was like, well, what if we broke off? How would that happen? What would it take? How would we do it different? Which would be, we take Tahoe. We would own most of agriculture in North America, and just private. Anyways, everything you hear me talk about with California, and then at the same time, like, what would go wrong? And then also, who has something at stake that would, have an impact on the way that this newfound country would be shaped. And so I thought about the infighting that would happen, and kind of went from there. It was just kind of making fun of corporate America and us California. So it's satire for me, but also like, what if we did it, and what could go wrong? So it just kind of played from there.
Yeah, for sure. Because Phil wants to definitely point out, he didn't tell me who it was, but definitely feel like there's something Curtis Yarvin inspired elements in play here.
Yeah, I heard you all talking about that when I first loaded in. It's interesting. I know Dave and I came out with this book technically a year and a half ago, issue 1.
Yeah.
And everybody,
like, Yarvin's becoming big now because he is JD Vance's mentor.
Yeah, and it's interesting that people who are reading it are like, oh, it's real topical. Like, I wrote it in I started writing in 2016, like, and without any of this as current fodder that we have now. And it really is kind of serendipity that it does feel kind of topical at this point. But at the same time, it's I could see how, as Dave mentioned, our book does pretty well on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And then I haven't yet tried to sell our book yet in like a Texas convention. I don't know how it would be accepted, but it's like, I want to go, but it's satire. It's making fun of us,
Well, Texas is like, yeah, let's separate too.
Right. I mean, what was the movie Civil War, where they both somehow Texas and California separate but unify? That was a weird take for me in that movie Civil War.
Yeah, it's California and Florida, I thought.
Oh, that was California and Texas. Okay, maybe I got that wrong.
Those 3 states were mentioned a lot in that.
Okay, so maybe all 3 of them, which also makes no sense.
Right.
Yeah, it was actually really well shot though. Love the feeling of that movie for sure.
But yeah, no, I thought it was interesting because for those of you who aren't out there that don't know about this because you don't follow this kind of stuff, Curtis Yarvin, his political philosophy is that basically he's a monarchist. He believes that the country should return back to a monarchy.
Awesome.
Yeah, and his political philosophy is that not just a monarchy, but the people who should be in charge are Silicon Valley tech bros, because they are the ones who can who like basically they've run smart businesses. So they should be the one.
Oh my gosh.
The whole political philosophy behind it is that Silicon Valley tech bros should run the country. His whole thing is that they should, like, his philosophy right now, before like all the events that are going on in the country, his thing was that these Silicon Valley companies should buy land and create their own city states.
And there were some moves that happening in different parts, and actually I think one part of California, they try to build like called like New California, right outside of
the New California Revolution that's a whole different fucking set of crazy. But I mean, like, there was a while back, there was a corporation that bought up like something like around like a couple thousand acres outside of in Solano County.
Yes.
And people were just like, well, why? What's the point? We don't understand. And now people are starting to realize it was because of this Curtis Yarvin led political movement. They were saying that there was a company that was buying land to try and create their own city state.
Yeah, they were trying to say it was like employee housing is kind of how they're positioning it. Something like that, I believe, is what they were doing.
Yeah.
It's funny because any one of us who has worked in corporate, anybody above, anybody in the C level, the C suite,
Mhm.
they're just humans who have way too much time on their hands to come up with more acronyms. You know, there's just acronyms for movements and for programs, and the only successful ones are the ones that surround themselves by smarter people. You know what I mean? And then trust them to do it right. And the dirt bags somehow last a while too, but they find their way out too. It's just that scares me. I mean, I know that's kind of what my story's about, but it's funny because and when we did this, it was kind of satire for us as kind of way to blow off steam, but
Right.
also it's scary how many people actually believe in that kind of thing. It's just what is
Well, at some point in time, they'll drink the grape Rite Aid, and it'll be okay.
hopefully. Yeah, give them some Dimetap.
So that's all we can hope for.
Exactly. Well, that was your political segment of Distance Nerd.
It is a geopolitical comic, so
Oh yeah.
It's hard to ignore it, especially given the climate of today. You know, and it's funny. I was at a comic convention like a couple days right after the election, and it was in Berkeley of all places. And it was really kind of interesting to hear people's what they would say as soon as I kind of told them what the book was about. You have definitely two kinds of sides. Some people are like, yeah, like, let's do that, and other people, that are obviously realize that there's issues with that could definitely arise. And,
that's a good point, Dave. I think you and I have been in a couple of conventions together, different tables, where when we both talk like for dinner, we're like, yeah, when we pitch it, the joke would be like, isn't it happening now? Ha ha ha. But I think you mentioned that after the election, it was like more of a, oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, we're gonna kill our own sales.
like sadly, there are a lot of scary signs of like this stuff happening.
Yeah.
So my book can either be canceled, or banned, or elevated. I don't know. We'll find out.
It could become the California Bible.
Let's see where our book takes us, Dave.
Now, the good thing is that if it gets banned, you're doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, if it gets protested, especially even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the last book will have some tell. Like there's. I think the last book that we did.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how people interpret it.
You know what's funny is when at the time I really wasn't thinking about politics when I was writing it.
No.
And when when Justin like finished editing, he's like, "Well, this is a really strong red versus blue." I was like, oh, "I didn't think about that. Weird. I don't want that." Like it's just like it was making fun of us. We'll see.
Well, I gotta ask because everything gets turned into a series or a movie. If you're working in animation, do you ever have like this envision with the artwork and going into an animated limited series?
My vision was always television for this, but live action. If it was supposed to get picked up for anything, but animated, I think Dave's work could definitely lend. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like a more detailed version of what was that? I'm trying to remember it's not called glitch text. What was it that my son was watching? It kind of reminded me of. But yeah, I could see that happening. It's just it might be more of an HBO because it's like a deeper conversation, kind of like Scavenger's Reign was. Yeah, it's definitely not like a kids animation show. But by the way, has anybody watched Scavenger's Reign? Ooh,
no,
gorgeous. It's on Netflix now. I think it moved over to Netflix.
Oh, Scavenger's Ring.
Reign, Reign.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out.
Because I can envision this almost like a limited series, like Castlevania was on Netflix.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Thank you for comparing it to Castlevania.
Yeah, I accept.
Well, realistically, remember the Spawn had an animated series in HBO as well.
So good.
I think it'd be interesting to see it animated to no end. I think it has the great world building within it to really go out there for it.
Yeah, some of the like the future tech that Dave built in that's not too future, but definitely feels future. That could look really cool in animation for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I can see that. It's funny that he says that because if you would ask me, I would have thought, yeah, live action as well. But thinking about it as animation, yeah, it would be kind of cool. I could see that definitely being a fun thing to see.
Yeah, I'm like looking up Scavenger's Ring now. I'm like, oh, that does feel like.
And Dave's already done cyberpunk work, so I mean, like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love cyberpunk. You know, and my co-host from other show that I do, he eats up all cyberpunk things to no end.
Probably seen Scavenger's Ring then.
Oh, probably. Yeah. He hounds me a lot about watching things that aren't horror. He's like, you don't watch anything that's not horror. I'm like, that's very true.
Dave's heard me say this, but TV has become the new adult homework. You haven't seen this, you have to watch this, and like your list is long of things you need to watch. Which, by the way, is better than where we were. Was it 10 years ago when we had nothing but those live action game shows called reality TV?
Yeah. Hey, you know, I still enjoy people getting wiped out and getting hit by big red balls. It's
okay,
so
Wipeout is great. That's at least that one was straightforward. It wasn't scripted.
Right. You know, and MXC was all, you know.
MXC's the best.
Wait, which is MXC again?
Tagashi's Castle, but dubbed over in English.
That's the Japanese one, and the English dubs were the greatest thing ever done. Because it's very, very obvious that that's not what they're saying in Japanese.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's just like they're just redubbing it with like American comedians being the host.
Think Wipeout annotation with the characters they made for these people, but applied to a Japanese game show. That was the basis of Wipeout.
What's it called again?
It's MXC. It's Most Extreme Challenge, I think is what it stands for. But it was originally based on, was it Tagashi's Castle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most Extreme Elimination Challenge?
Yeah.
That's very Japanese name for a show.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's very straightforward. Extremely straightforward. That's amazing. I love it.
This looks awesome.
Thank you, Saywalk. Yeah. I'm actually based on.
I've seen these. Is it the one where they're trying to climb the stairs? It's slippery. I've seen.
Yeah.
So that show is the inspiration for. I do this other book called the Space Auditorium, and there's this bit where the planet's basically taken over by this alien race that kind of uses it as like entertainment for the rest of the universe, and they kind of do, like, the writer Chris, he was kind of getting into these like this MXC kind of like Japanese game shows, and so we're adding like that with the cyberpunk element to it, and it was actually a lot of fun doing that section of the book, and I remember him specifically citing this stuff. And, like,
that makes sense, Dave. Now, like retelling Space Auditorium in my head, like I could totally see that. Oh my gosh, it makes so much sense.
See, I want to bring all the game shows from our generation and have the 40s Double Dare, the 40s Guts, the 40s, you know,
a lot of broken ankles.
Legends of the Hidden Temple. I just want to do that now. I just want to do the Eliminator for American Gladiators. So
many rolled ankles.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can just hear it.
Out, definitely. Yeah.
You just win by surviving.
if you can make it to the end and you're still standing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But yeah,
wow, look at that Groot. Whoa.
Is he done, Phil?
I think he's done. I think there's something else because there's a lot of like extra pieces, so I think there's something else I'm gonna build. But he does dance.
Oh wow. Is it motorized, or is it hand crank only?
No, it's a crank.
That's still awesome. That's amazing.
I'm sure there's a
there's Lego motors.
Yes.
There's a way to do like a Technic kit on it, where you can like motorize it.
See, I didn't have Legos growing up. I had what was it? Erector set. Where's the metal and you actually built stuff with motors?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
You did like what with your set?
Exactly. Erected it. I erected it all night long.
Your pieces were called erections.
Weird.
What, man?
Yeah, I like how then you got Groot, who's like,
Yes, Phil is playing with a giant sentient piece of wood.
I am.
speaking.
Okay, so apparently there's another configuration here. So it's got me
Another configuration.
Okay, he's got me pulling off half of his face here.
Ooh.
As you do to any good superhero. He has no eyes.
Yeah. So it's having me take his eyes off and reconfigure this whole thing. So
It's gonna be like sad Groot or like
Exactly. I want to see what he has. Is it be surprise Groot?
Okay, so it had me put like another piece on his forehead.
Oh, was that?
Oh, sunglasses! Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. The flower sunglasses.
No, they're just like regular sunglasses.
Oh,
So you know how like when you're building Lego, for those of you who do build Lego, it'll show you what like the next thing you're building is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is the thing that's having me build the sunglasses.
Nice.
That's cool. Phil, just so you know, remember that Lego set that I won from you guys like 2.5 years ago?
Yeah.
So I finally put together like yesterday.
What was it?
It was Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen's house is the kitchen. And my son, who has all my kids have lots of Legos. I said I never had Legos growing up. I was putting together. My son goes, "You're doing it wrong." I'm like, wow.
How are you doing it wrong? What's that mean?
I have no idea. He's like, you don't open every bag. I'm like, he's like, you don't open every bag. You know, they're not numbered. It's every piece is in all the bags. You dump them all out. And then I did this weird thing, Phil, where I organized them.
Like I do?
Yeah. He's like, that's not how I do it. I'm aware how you do it.
Have you ever watched Dad's show? Probably not, because there's a lot of cussing.
There is a lot of cussing. But yeah, he's like, you're doing it wrong. I'm like, you know what? You can just go away and let me build my one Lego set I've ever had my entire life.
Did you do it? Did you get it done?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And my wife's like, do you want more? I'm like, yeah, where do you think I'm going to put them? Your office? I'm like, I have no room in my office. My office is my studio. It's where I work. It's where I have all my video game systems. Everything that's mine has to be in this one small room. Yeah, my nerd can't leak out into the house.
Your office can be it can be the mess that is my office with Lego everywhere.
You see, I'm in like a hallway within my house. Like I got the stairs right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is my office. Is this corner next to the washing machine?
Yeah, I get it. Like my wife's like, we need to clean off the dining room table. You gotta get your stuff off. I'm like, I will take this one tool off the table that's mine. There, it's still filled with everything else. Is my junk out of the way now?
You can sit and eat right there in that spot. Look, I put the mat down for you.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like your stuff has stayed in your room. Like, what about the rest of the house? No, that's our stuff. Oh, okay. I'm lucky I have this room. I'm just going to say that. If you're listening upstairs,
you are the best.
I don't even have a window in this office. I get no natural sunlight.
Oh God! All right, well we've got some wrap up questions, guys, before we move into this next segment here. So, guys, I'm gonna ask you guys the hardest question you've ever been asked in your life. Are you guys ready?
Will it incriminate? I hope it does.
It absolutely will amongst the nerds that listen to our show.
Sweet.
So I'm gonna ask you guys, and you guys can answer one at a time. So whoever answers first gets to give an idea of like what the next guy gets to answer. Again, guys, hardest question you've ever been asked in your life. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
All right.
No.
I'm gonna ask anyway. So, what is your favorite kind of taco?
Oh, okay. I got it. I'm ready.
What?
The deep fried, crunchy, shredded beef.
Deep fried, crunchy, shredded beef.
Because as you go to any place, you get the soft kind of the soft foldable one. that's kind of typical that you can find. You know, the closer you are to the border, the better the Mexican food. But and by the way, I'm like 2 miles away. But the folded, deep fried, shredded beef, and then they slightly open and throw in like cheese and lettuce. Oh my god, that I know it's dripping in oil.
So that's called tacos dorados.
Delicious. I think is what you get. Tacos delicious. So have you been in San Diego, Bill?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Cuatro Milpas, that one place on, it's like this establishment here in San Diego. It's like an institution. You can't not go there. They only have tacos and tostadas. Like that's all they make. Maybe even quesadillas. And there's a massive line.
That is
And
all
it-
you ever have in any
And
restaurant.
there's four ants in there who are just cooking the whole time. And it's in an old house, so you sit in different parts of the house that have like the plastic table and the plastic chairs, and you don't care because you know it's gonna be delicious. It's that place. It's the oil. It's the oil.
Oh yeah.
You know, I used to live in San Diego for a short bit, and I swear, like the Mexican food in San Diego is something special. It's just not like that anywhere else. You go up a
Undefeated.
little north to San Francisco area, it's just not as good.
Y'all put rice in your burritos. That's wrong.
I know.
Don't be doing that. Don't
They
be
fill it
doing
in
that.
their bullshit.
And I'm Filipino. I don't want rice in my burrito. Get that out of there.
Like I eat enough rice. I don't need more.
Yeah, grease is king. Thanks.
Yeah.
Grease is
Well-
king.
It is.
What about you, Dave? What's your favorite kind of taco?
Oh, you know, I like a lot. I like my food. You know, I'm gonna even say a specific one that I remember. So my son got invited to this birthday party, and it's a Mexican family, and they were one of those. It's like a massive party. I've never been to something so big. It was like they had this huge property, and it's just so many people. They had a live band playing like amazing music. It was legit, like, and they were, you know, all this homemade stuff. In particular, they made when it was the dad, and I got like they were hanging out drinking mezcal. I remember this too because I got kind of drunk because they passed there.
Dave drunk, amazing.
I know.
I want to see that.
They were making their own carnitas. And
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever seen someone make it, but they actually had the full pig
Yeah.
putting in its own fat, like
Yeah.
kind of crispy, you know.
Do the crunchy bits? Oh
There.
my god, my mouth is watering.
It was, and so yeah, it was really good, and they brought it out, and they had like soft tortillas to put it in, some corn tortillas, and that was probably the most amazing meal I've ever had, and
Especially when they make the tortilla right before they throw it on the actual
yeah,
grill.
it was
Like,
all
they
it was
press
all
it.
like
Ah.
it was so cool. It was so good. And getting just that carnitas, like having it fresh, like out of that, like just made right then and there, and it's still like kind of like crispy on the outside and moist on the inside.
Okay, so that one I tie with an El Pastor when they put the taco on the grease. I mean the tortilla on the grease and pull it out before they throw the meat on there. Oh my God.
Yeah.
On the drippings, excuse me. On the drippings, you're like, my doctor's not going to be happy, but I will be. I accept you. I'll be one day short of life by eating this, but I will do it.
Awesome.
That is amazing.
No, what's your respective
Yeah, I
favorite
want to hear
tacos?
about you guys.
I don't think we've ever asked Graveyard what his favorite tacos are.
White people taco night. No.
Hey, you know what? That that was it the Ortega shell that brings me back to like childhood. I'll eat it.
Yeah, I like that.
No, my mom, you know, in where I'm at, to get good Mexican food, you'd go to the harbor, and you went to places where they didn't speak any English.
Yes,
That's usually the best.
that's how you know it's
And-
good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. And they're like, "Here's a salsa." I look at them like, I know I'm very pale. Can I have like the kitchen salsa? Like, oh, okay, so, yeah. So I know that. And, but my mom makes. She essentially did her version of, is simmered and broiled beef that was sit in the pot, and beef and pork that sit in the pot for like 8 hours simmering and braising and breaking down, and it's absolutely amazing. for me. I love it. I love all tacos though, honestly.
That's almost
If
like
it-
your version of birria, isn't it? Sounds like
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Oh.
But I also did, I got a Flatstone a couple months ago, and I did some skirt steak on it, and I did just a nice lemon dressing.
Mhm.
Phil saw the pictures I made of the street tacos I had, and it was like there's no leftovers in my house.
Yes. There should never be leftover tacos ever.
No,
Yeah,
but,
no, ever. You should run out of stuff and be upset that you didn't make
Mhm.
more.
Yes.
yeah, it's to the point where like birria is probably my favorite.
Mm.
That I'm looking at like, all right, how do I make birria
Yeah, but
at my house?
it's not like you're probably eating like the beef kind.
No.
And
You're not the goat, right?
Oh, I've
Or
had the goat.
lamb.
I've had the goat. I've had the beef.
Yeah.
I love goat. But I want to make birria at home and carnitas at home because I have all the stuff to do
What?
it. Ah.
Oh, no.
Knock the camera over. I was trying to pull this up so you guys can see he's got his headphones, he's got his sound.
Oh, sick. I didn't see the headphones.
You know,
That looks rad.
yeah. Dancing Groot.
Yeah.
Funny
Cool.
enough, that's
Uh,
that build for the day.
Yeah.
Did Groot ask you, Phil, what you like?
I'm going to answer mine here in a second, but
Oh, man.
the next build here is not even like a branded Lego, but it's the fucking Grinch.
What is that? It's amazing.
They sold it at Walmart, and we were just like, we're doing this.
Nice.
But believe it or not, guys, there is a correct answer to this question. The correct answer is al pastor. And the reason that you go al pastor, so in the Latino community, the way we judge restaurants, like whether we know
Mm.
is by how good the al pastor is.
All
You
right.
go into a restaurant, if they make good al pastor, everything in that
Yes.
restaurant's going to be good.
And you know that it's wrong when they don't offer it.
Yeah, no, if they don't offer it, you walk out. That's just
Yeah.
the rule.
Do you
Hey, why-
scream? You
why-
should be
why
ashamed
is
of
Al
yourselves.
Pastor the definer?
Huh?
Why is Al Pastor the definer? What is it about that quality like that makes it so like
It's something about the way that you marinate that pork, because the
Mhm.
whole thing is like if you do it wrong, because most al pastor, there are like recipes you can find online and all that, but like you go to good restaurants, usually it's going to be like a family recipe.
And it takes a long ass time.
And something about that char from spinning right at as it's burning on the edge there. Oh,
Yeah, and then
and a
that's
little bit of pineapple. Oh,
yeah, that's the other thing for al pastor is the first thing that should give you like an indication that it's probably going to be good is if it is done Lebanese style, where it's on the spit and
Mhm,
they cut it right off the pork leg. Because a lot of people don't realize that al pastor is actually is a dish that was brought to Mexico from Lebanese immigrants.
that's why it's so damn similar in the way it's made.
Yeah, and
Mm.
and yeah, so it's really good, but that is just kind of like our litmus test. That or and this is not tacos, but the other thing that is if they have it, it is like a way that a restaurant is good is if they have mole,
Oh,
because mole is not something that you typically get at a lot of
yeah. It's not always there.
right.
It's
So
a
if they
lot of flavor building in there to make it right.
Yeah, because mole is again most places. It's very rare that you find a place that will have mole and they don't do it from scratch, right? But
Yeah.
most of the times when you find a place that makes mole, they usually do it from scratch.
That's wild.
those are good tips. All right.
Yeah. So jumping into these the rest of these follow-up questions, because again, we will not get to this bracket if we don't. What's some advice you might have for anybody trying to get into the industry, whether it be artists or writers, anybody who's trying to get into comic books? What's some advice you might give them?
I would say make something. I've seen a lot, and make sure people can see. Like I think there's a lot of ways you can get into the industry, and I guess that warrants some evaluation. Is like, what element do you want to get into? Do you want to make a whole comic yourself, write it and draw it, or do you want to have someone pay you to draw it, or do you want to write it, or do you want ink? I can speak from my perspective as someone who primarily just illustrates things for people and doesn't do very much writing. The best move I made was to have something out there that was done and finished, and it was something you could physically hold and look at and see that A, the quality of my work, and B, that I can finish a project. I think there's a very little barrier to entry to getting into comic books. It's super cheap. Anyone can really do it, but to finish something and that is very hard. And to have a finished product that is representational of what you can do, I think is very valuable to someone who's considering hiring you. And no one's going to hire you because you did a page that looks pretty nice, or you have a couple, even if you have a pretty nice looking portfolio, like you have to show the full thing, because there's so many bits and elements to making a comic book that I think the better you can show that, and that's obviously by having a finished piece, the more likely you are to have people willing to invest in you.
100%. I'll piggyback off of that. Then I have a second kind of point is, as Dave said, that he's watched me go from one side of the table to the other side, and in that going literally from talking about my book to all these creators I've met over the years, to actually having the book, the conversation and the way I was talked to with those same creators shifted once I had the physical book in hand, and it was backed, and we started building a little bit of a following. Again, like I probably couldn't get an interview with a podcast like you all unless the book was out. Not that you wouldn't give somebody a chance, but it's easier for you all to bring a known quantity on the show because you're not wasting your listeners' time by them saying, oh, let me check out a book that might not happen, that kind of thing. And then the other one too for me is, as I was building that relationship with different creators through those years, like meeting Dave and before my book came out, for those folks to then signal boost my product when I was just first coming out, I had built and cultivated those relationships over years of just going to conventions and meeting them, but without using that nasty word of networking. That's what you're doing, but taking the word networking out in general, anybody trying to make any industry, go meet people in the industry and be cool. Don't be like, I'm trying to get a job. How do I do it? How do I get into your pants? Like, how do I get into your shoes and pants? You know what I mean? Like, it's my thing was, I just wanted to get to know who they were, how they got there. And I wasn't asking for anything. And you just get to know people, because as Dave knows, I'm sure he's hit up by a bunch of young artists all the time who are like, hey, how do I break in? And then it's like, it's actually kind of like, you're actually afraid to kind of feed that, because it becomes kind of like, it's a one way, where if they're just talking to you just to talk and just kind of converse and have like a fun conversation, and then later you can start asking questions, it's like, oh, I know you. You're not after something only. As I tell my kids, just be fucking cool. Just go meet a bunch of people, be cool. And by the time you're ready to launch your thing, you're going to have a bunch of people who know you as a good person. Hopefully you're a good person, and they'll signal boost you, but don't be too thirsty. That's hard, because I did it, and I learned the hard way. Like, oh, I think I did that wrong.
Right.
It's, you live and learn, but don't be afraid to put yourself out there, because it's hard. Even just saying hi to somebody and then just asking them a question about what inspired them, you might learn something. Go learn. Go to any panel, learn as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love that, and I think that you're absolutely true. Like I said, when I do the horror stuff, I did Days of the Dead Con, and I just went around and talked to every person at every table. Just had a conversation. I did that the first night of the con. It was a 3-day con. I just did that. All right,
and
cool.
it's fun. It's like super fun.
Yeah. And second day, I was just when there's more people that were with me at the table that were able to watch it, so I could leave my stuff and go wander around again. Be like, oh, you're here again? I'm like, yeah. And the third day, they go, wait, you're at a table there? I'm like, yeah. What do you do? Oh, I do a show and I make movies. Like, oh, you didn't mention that at all in the past days. Like, yeah. Like, can we come on your show? Absolutely. It just I take that too. It's like indie supports indie, and there's no reason not to.
Yeah.
As people said that know me in the indie horror film, they're like, Graveyard's the nicest guy ever. He'll talk to you and treat you like every other person in the world. Everyone's equal. There's no reason to have animosity or hate because it doesn't do any good.
No.
Yeah.
I think talking to people is great advice. I mean, I even will go and when I'm at a convention, I try to take some time and talk to people who are doing the same thing I'm doing and just kind of get their how they're doing it, why they're doing it, what they're what they're about. I think that's all really valuable and it can always it's like basically there's no real school for doing this. The school for it is going these things and talking to people. And the good thing about it is I think you guys have, I'm sure, had the same experience. Almost everyone in this industry is super friendly and willing to talk and share their experience. And it might not always be that way, but right now it is. And it's something that you want to do. I think the community's great. You just have to put yourself out there. And
that's actually a good one too. As much as if you're starting off, want people to help you, when you do finally kind of make your way in, also leave the door open and help other people get in too. Don't forget what got you in. And so I've had people. We're on our 4th Kickstarter now, and we've done pretty well. And I feel pretty comfortable about it. And I've had people ask me, and I'm just like, if I could help you avoid any of the roadblocks I run into, I will definitely talk to you. Because it's just, because someone helped me learn those, you know what I mean? Like, if you could pay it forward, do the same, because it's so fun watching other people, watching each other win is pretty cool. Watching our books get made. It's like, it's so cool when you watch somebody you just met, get their book made. Like, yes, it happened. You fist bump them virtually. It's as Dave said, it's a good environment.
Yeah.
At least we try to stay in the good side of things.
I live my life by one acronym only. Don't be a dick. Be bad. Be bad. Don't.
Yeah. That's Conan says that too. Like there's he has a no asshole policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of my heroes, and I'm like, that's a good point. I don't think he's an asshole, and he's doing it right. He's doing his own way. At least I don't think he's an asshole. Hope he's not.
Then you find out, oh my God, he's a dick.
Now I have to be one.
Yes.
Unleash.
I mean, isn't that what it's like Ellen, right? That was her whole. It was like she's mean.
Oh, is she?
Yes. That's why she kind of got
canceled. About that?
People were like,
oh,
she's a fucking terrible person, apparently.
Oh wow. No. Well, not one of my heroes. That's all right.
So guys, we're gonna ask you another super hard question here. All right. Who would win in a fight? The corporate military, kind of like the corporate pillar. Let's go with that. The corporate military pillar versus Stars from Resident Evil.
I don't get mad. I don't know Resident Evil very well.
It's the armed forces of the Umbrella Corporation.
Oh.
They're basically a corporate military, just the same way as the military in California.
I would personally say, just because I'm full of myself as a Californian, California would win, because we have what's called the best PR in the world. It's called Hollywood, and they would scare them into not even getting into a fight. They would position it in a way like you don't want to get a fight with them.
That's too hard of a question for me, young Phil.
That's too young for me, young Phil.
So obviously you play Resident Evil when you say it's too hard, right?
That's like Smash Brothers, right? Smash Bros.
Yeah.
But with the shuffling, not quite alive people.
Right.
Oh, so fucking good. Okay. You don't have to answer, man. So what's this for you guys? Do you guys have any cons coming up? Anything going on?
I have 3 things.
Obviously, started. Let me put that on the screen real quick too.
Dave, I've got 3 confirmed this year. I've got WonderCon, Emerald City, and Ontario Comic Con Revolution. That's all. That's what I've confirmed so far. What about you, Dave?
I think I got WonderCon. I'll be at Rose City, and I'll probably do others, but I'm not quite sure what those are yet. So
Did Rose City confirm already?
no.
I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I thought they weren't open.
I've gone every year, and I not to. So the WonderCon in Rose City I do every year. And then I usually sprinkle in something else that usually Chris, who's my partner on Space Auditorium, he usually submits to something else. So it's usually something big. It's been like we've done like Dragon Con and we've done I'm blanking on them all now. We've done San Diego. We've done it's usually something bigger so actually, did I say Emerald City? I meant Rose City. So like Emerald City was one of the bigger ones that we've done occasionally, but I always will do Rose City. So
Right.
yeah. So, but those are probably the only ones I have currently on my scope in my sites. So.
And obviously, you guys got our link up there, so thank you for that. We do have our Kickstarter launching on January 14th through February 13th, but it's the 4th issue technically, but it's the full complete series. If anybody hasn't started yet, there are a lot of friendly catch-up options from digital to digital plus, which comes with more items, and physical options. The thing too is the first 24 hours of the Kickstarter is when we have everything at a discounted price, but just for the first 24 hours.
And guys, it's definitely worth the read.
Yes,
check it out.
Cool.
We both of us have read it. It was a great read. To the point where couldn't really put it down. So it was good, guys. Everybody should go and check it out. 100% back this.
Appreciate that, guys.
Yeah,
that's awesome to hear.
I'll be added to my repertoire of indie comics over here. So
nice. Very cool.
So you now have fans in Chicago. There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
Does that mean I get into C2E2 guaranteed?
Yes. You tell them Graveyard sent you; they'll know exactly what to do. The alley is nice.
They're like, "What's happening?"
They're like, sure. Somebody kick him to the curb now.
Plans. We got a question here. What's the plans for marketing? We have.
This is James coming. End of the show. 20 questions. Go, James.
Oh, God. This is like I said. James comes in at the 9th hour, and it's just like, hey, I'm gonna ask all the questions.
All good. We have those conventions that we listed, but actually Dave came in. Actually, it's been a year now, right? Exactly 1 year.
That was like the first issue, right? Or was the second one?
It was second issue we were launching, and you came to San Diego, stayed over, and we did 2 signings, right? 2 signings.
Yeah. We should do
third
one
issue
for fun though.
Yeah, that was great. The third issue, I didn't know I was going to get a table at SCCC, so I booked a signing at Now or Never, which is across from the convention, and then I last minute got a table, so I had to leave my table in the middle of the convention to go do a signing at the. Anyway, so we haven't talked about signings yet for this, but now that we have all 4, we talked about possibly doing like Justin and I are going up to meet Dave out in the Bay Area to do some signings out there, but we'll see how this year goes.
I've been talking to a couple shops that are interested.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I like it.
I just thought about this right now. We were talking about James being late to the show, right? He's 100% being the stereotype on Filipino time.
I mean, as my neighbor and I call it CPT, colored people time.
Colored people time. We all
happens.
It's fine.
We like it because there's James and young Phil are in California, but myself and 2 other people are on the show are in Central Time. If we say something, they're like, James is like, oh, is that my time? I go, no.
The running joke on the show is Pacific time is the only time. only time zone that there is because it's the only time zone that matters. So
Unless you're watching a live sporting event, or unless you're watching the countdown.
yeah.
Hey, it's all right. I'm leaving 2 hours ahead of you in the future, so I already know what's going to happen.
Awesome. Let me know if we fund.
Just to throw this out there for Art, this is just like throwing it back out to him. Greetings from the future.
Wait, is that from Futurama?
From Futurama.
Oh, yeah.
It's from the first episode.
Is it Zoidberg? Yeah.
No.
It's the cryogenic scientist that.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
Yeah, it's when he first comes out of the cryo chamber. The guy, like, anytime anybody comes out of the cryo tubes, he greets them and goes, "Welcome from the future." And he's like, "You have to do that every time."
They expect a show.
It was such a wild show. The amount of weird things we put together on that was great.
Well, my eldest daughter, she loves Futurama, so I'll have to let her know that I was able to talk to you.
I did it. One of my favorite scenes is when I made Fry pretend to be a robot and do the robot dance.
Yeah. How are you doing that?
Oh man, Bender was so fun to draw.
Get out of my way! You're gonna get stabbed. Oh,
I beg when I get a sharp knife in the kitchen. It's time for a stabbing.
One of my favorite lines is when they're talking about the Oompa Loompas. Tell them I hate them. Why?
I hate them.
Why? So mean.
Those are the Lunkas.
Tell them I hate them.
Oh man.
Oh God, so good. All right, guys. I've got it scrolling on the bottom of the screen here, but where can everybody find you? Where are your social medias? Everything, if everybody wants to learn more about your art and your writing and the books that you have going out and all the things you guys got going on, where can everybody find you?
For me, it'll be like Instagram is, and it's ITS Dave Law. It's Dave Law. I always thought that was like real witty. I was like, oh yeah, it's Dave Law. And then everyone asks me what it is. I'm like, oh, it's Dave Law. And then they go Dave Law. And I'm like, no, it's Dave Law. And it was quite good.
Like, this was smart until stupid people.
Until I just wound up having to say what I just said every time. Yeah.
It's not smart when I have to explain it. So thank you, world, for being pendejo. It's great.
Oh dang! Oh snap! Let's see. Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, the bird thing. Those are.
We still call it Twitter.
Yes.
Old school, just a website, right?
Yeah. It's just at Art Edwin, ARTEBUN, and then for the comic itself, the actual comic, it's California Inc. comic on Instagram, and then Instagram as well for the footprint. I'm sorry, the label Studio 12/7. It's just Studio 12_7.
Awesome, guys. Well, we appreciate you coming on and talking comics with us and your comic. We are going to get to this bracket, so hopefully you guys stick around to get to
Are we? It's like 3 minutes left of the show.
3 minutes. I didn't realize that we were that far into. Okay, we're not doing a bracket tonight.
Oh, we have one update for the bracket. We'll let the audience know the one update to the bracket.
Yeah, no, we're gonna do this because I'm officially closing it at this point.
Yeah,
so, guys, I know everybody out there was hoping that Labyrinth was somehow gonna beat Lord of the Rings with a stunning upset, winning 12-9. Lord of the Rings took that bracket.
Rightfully so.
Not that bracket. It wasn't for the final one. It was just that seed.
It took that seed. Seed. So, ladies and gentlemen, Lord of the Rings is moving on in the bracket. So, given the we didn't get to the bracket this week, and maybe actually, you know what? We can get to it tomorrow because we don't have a guest tomorrow.
Oh, there you go.
So we're just gonna do an all bracket show tomorrow. So,
Perfect.
With that being said, man, give everybody a preview of what's still left.
Yes. So from I'd say over the past 3 weeks, Highlander beat out Clash of the Titans, so that will be going up against the horse that dies of sadness and gives up.
Vortex!
Never-ending story.
Falcor.
Yeah. Time Bandits beat out the Covenant, and it's going up against the Dark Crystal, which would beat out the BFG. Conan the Barbarian beat out Fantastic Beasts and How to Not Make a 5-Movie series.
Yeah,
and
makes sense.
It's going up against Pete's Dragon, which beat out the Hobbit trilogy, which I'm very surprised about.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. The Hobbit trilogy was okay.
That's true. It's super okay.
Yeah. By comparison to the Lord of the Rings. Now, Lord of the Rings would have upset the living shit out of me, but
me too.
It won. Yeah.
A Wrinkle in Time beat out Sparkly Vampires. No shock there. Pan's Labyrinth beat out Willow.
Willow.
That's a tough competition to put against.
Yeah.
That's a
No,
hard
you know what's
call.
funny? This is all RNG too, so it's not like we're not sitting there saying first seed, second seed. This is all random number generators. That's
Yeah.
Wow.
I make a bracket of 32 items, and I put it in there, and I hit shuffle 4 times.
That's a
Oh,
tough
wow.
call. I feel like Willow could have had a fighting chance if it'd gone up against.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on a second. James mentioned something about the chicken sandwich bracket. I literally did that at work one time. It took us 2 months, and because we had to all eat them, and
Right.
yeah, it's
James, when you buy the chicken sandwiches for all our guests, the host, and the chat to make the determining factor, we'll let that happen.
Call me. I will be on.
There you
We might need to do that at a live show.
I don't disagree.
yeah.
That's it.
Beetlejuice beat out Percy Jackson.
Yes.
I'm okay with that.
I mean, that one still was kind of surprising considering. But I mean, like we were also including the movies with that. So I mean, and the movies were terrible. So I mean, like the show was great.
Yeah.
Jumanji beat out Robert De Niro in drag, Stardust.
Stardust. Oh man, that was a good one.
But see, I think the only reason that it won more so is because I don't think enough people saw Stardust.
Correct.
Yeah.
Daredevil before he was Daredevil because it was Charlie.
Yeah.
And the RNG decided to put Mary Poppins up against the Wizard of Oz, and the Wizard of Oz won.
Yeah.
Because of Return to Oz being the best movie ever made.
That movie.
Yeah, Return to Oz is a horror show. It's a horror movie.
That
Oh, I
movie
love
is
it.
so-
That won our bracket last month for best children's horror movie.
Yeah, I actually watched it for the first time ever with my kids, and I was like, oh, "This is a horror movie."
Oh, I love it.
It was good.
Played by that girl from The Craft.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And I made that realization this last time. I was like, oh.
Yeah. She looks the same.
Yeah.
10 years later.
Face, and then, yeah.
Yeah. And then Matilda lost to The Boy Who Lived.
Which Matilda?
All Matilda.
Oh, gotcha.
So it's going to be the original movie, and then the musical that came out, was that last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Beat up, Harry Potter squeaked it out somehow.
Oh.
It's fucking Harry Potter.
That's strange. That's real strange to me.
You got to say Harry Potter, right?
Stuff, I think.
Exactly. Potter. Like I said, my wife is a big Potterhead, and she's like, I was waiting for my letters from Hogwarts. I'm like, you live in America. You don't go to Hogwarts in America.
There's an American Hogwarts.
It's not Hogwarts though.
No.
Yeah, that's right. It's not called Hogwarts.
Ilverny.
I mean, it's like saying we have an American Cambridge.
Is that just called Harvard?
It's called Yale, and it's terrible.
So that's where we're at with that bracket. Now that we finally got the fiasco of chat being horribly wrong about
Fucking Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings potentially not being better.
Yeah, no. I was already upset that you guys even thought of that.
I mean, David Bowie's package is.
That's the argument for everyone.
That was the argument everybody had. Was that it should win is because David Bowie's
because he was working on his director set. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yep, he had the big motorized version of it too.
Is that what
I
we
had
call
it all.
Is that what we're calling it? David Bowie's record set?
He had the complete package. I get it.
Exactly. Yes, sometimes our chat we love. Sometimes chat votes for really weird things.
And I think I really do think that they voted for David Bowie because of his package.
Well, with Art now being a big Star Wars fan, you have to tell him your sad story about what made you the most angry.
There's the one thing that just constantly harp on. Like, I talk about the things that disappoint me the most, right? What you can. I talk about the things that disappoint me the most on this show. Like, you know, again, this is a fan voted segment, right? So this whole thing is every nerd that's in the chat gets to vote equally on this. And for some reason, when we did best Star Wars character,
okay,
which we should probably redo sometime soon. When we did best Star Wars character,
Plo Koon, go ahead.
The chat voted for Padme Amidala over Darth Maul.
Okay, my Animal Crossing character is Arth Maul.
Darth Maul, I love that. And I'm for every bracket we do, I tend to make an argument for one or the other, right? And I
hold up.
Yeah, I will do.
I can argue with you. I mean, like for you. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I will do actual arguments, right? I will say this one is XYZ. This is why this character is amazing, or this movie's amazing, or this. The second one, you know, this is why this one's good. How do we weigh it out together? I'll try to be. I will try to be as nonpartisan as possible, just so I'm getting information out to everybody that's out there that may not know about a character or a
TV show,
show, right? And I mean, you know, in the cases where I don't know something, a lot of times Graveyard does, and he'll do that for me. So it's like, you know, when we got there, I started talking about, okay, Padme, her best outing of the entire series was in one of the worst movies, was in the second movie. You know, I mean, she kind of does show herself to be kind of a badass. But the thing is that Darth Maul gets chopped up in the first movie.
He comes back. And I know you guys know this because you talked about watching. She died by just giving up.
I know. But I mean, like talked about Clone Wars, right?
She's the Artex of Star Wars.
She is the Artex. she just let it happen. But no, Darth Maul's entire story arc is what made Clone Wars good. Yeah. What was it? Season 3, he shows up, and I always explain this scene to people is so his brother walks they're on
Savage
Prime. So Savage Opress is on Raxus Prime, which is a junk. And he goes into this like basement area, and all of a sudden all you hear is the Sith code being repeated over and over again under his breath. And it's creepy as fuck. And then you see this fucking spider crawling in the background. It is the most creepy reintroduction of a character.
Yeah.
And then you have him come in, and then they bring him back to Dathomir.
He's kind of mentally broken, right?
Right, because he's broken. The Night Sisters fix his memory. They turn his spider legs into robot legs.
Yeah.
And he goes on an entire tirade of revenge against Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
And he is the most compelling character in Star Wars.
And
right?
his English accent makes him so badass too.
Yes. Coming from a dude who doesn't actually have an English accent, but is such a fan of the franchise, right?
Yeah.
That guy knows Star Wars better than anybody. Have you ever heard any of the interviews he's done?
No, but
listen to his interviews. He's done interviews about like he was talking about when he played Starkiller and how he got the role for that. And we're going way over time, but I mean, like he basically talks about how he goes to the audition and they tell him to act out a scene, right? And in the scene, he's supposed to meditate and then break meditation and deliver a line, right? So every time at the beginning of the scene, he would start like concentrating really hard and just and then do the line, and they're like, why are you meditating that way? He goes, he doesn't know how to meditate. And like
that's amazing,
right? And the casting director just like went into shock, and he goes, how would he know how to meditate? The only people he's ever talked to was the only person he's ever talked to in his life is Darth Vader. You really think Darth Vader taught him how to meditate? Right? Like, he doesn't know how to meditate. This is what he thinks meditation is. Right. And they said because he went so in depth on this character before they even wrote the character fully. Right. They were like, this dude, they're like, we don't even want to talk to anybody. This guy knows the character better than half the writers do. Right. And the same thing when he auditioned for Darth Maul, it was the same exact thing. That he was sitting there telling the casting directors, well, Maul wouldn't do this. Maul would do this.
Yeah.
Right. He ad-libbed that scene that we were just talking about him repeating the Sith code. That. Right. That was his idea. They were saying, just give us a couple scratch lines, and then we're gonna come back in once they write the lines for it. And he was like, what would Maul do if he was broken? He goes,
right.
He would repeat the Sith code because that's all he knows. He's going back to basics. That's all he knows. So he just repeats the Sith code under his breath over and over again to himself. And they were just like, no, we're keeping the scratch line. We're like, that wasn't even supposed to be what they were using for the line. But they were like, it was so good that they kept it that way. And at that point, the Sith code was not canon in Star Wars. Right? So there was the Jedi code, and that was canon in Star Wars, but the Sith code was not canon in Star Wars. And that was Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni was basically like, so this is how we're making the Sith code canon.
Nice.
It's Darth Maul repeating the code to himself over and over again.
Maybe chat voted who is more bangable, and they have arachnophobia. All right.
I mean, that could be it. Say Wong asking what episode was that?
I have no idea.
Was way early on in
that was before me.
Yeah. Maul splaining Star Wars.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
But no, it's way early on. If you go, it was probably like 2 years ago that we did that episode. That was also when C. Andrew Nelson was on the show, who played Darth Vader. So
okay,
sweet.
Yeah. So that was way early on, is when we were interviewing Vader while I was building Darth Vader.
Nice.
We chose to do a bracket on best Star Wars character, and obviously Vader voted for Vader.
Of course.
That makes sense.
Who was the final winner in that one? Was that where it wasn't Padme, was it?
No. Padme
God.
Out. I want to say it was between Vader and Solo.
Yeah, pretty good.
I can see that.
Yeah.
But I'm a big Ahsoka fan. Young Ahsoka, specifically young Ahsoka.
Yes. But like, I think we could do a different bracket now. New characters have come out since.
Yeah.
And maybe the chat won't disappoint me completely in voting for Padme Amidala. So I mean, like,
That's disappointing. That is disappointing.
Yeah. Again, as a Star Wars fan, when your entire chat votes for Padme over Darth Maul, again, one of the most well-written characters in Star Wars.
But wasn't she so consistent? I hate you. You're weird. You're a pervert. Love me. Like, I'm teasing.
Yes.
And we all know, as much as everybody wants to vote for Anakin, Anakin can get taken out by Dale Dribble. So Dale Dribble will come in pocket sand and just like take out Anakin Skywalker easily.
So sad, but accurate.
It is. Oh God, the most powerful being in all of Star Wars gets taken out by Dale fucking Dribble.
He's squirrely, okay?
Well, guys, that is it from us. I could go another hour just talking about this stuff, but other people need to go and be with their families. So we're gonna allow you guys to go and be with your families. Dave's like, what family?
I'm not playing them against Smash Brothers. Are you insane?
Right. I don't get crushed again.
By the way, I missed this earlier, but Sack Deadpool said when we were talking about your story earlier, Sack Deadpool said, when your son gets first place on Rainbow Road on the hardest difficulty, it's time to cut off their thumbs and index finger.
Yeah, and they don't have the railings on, right?
Right.
Oh my god. Yeah,
All right.
it's
Noted. I'll be like, hey, send it on the chat. I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
They told me to
You
do
got the
it.
snips. I got the
Alright.
clippers.
It
Don't
was
deserve
voted-
thumbs.
It was voted on by the chat. To be fair, that chat also voted for Padme over Maul.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah.
But guys, we are getting ready to go here. So before we let everybody go, give us all of your pluggables again. Anything you want to plug, anything you want to throw out there for anybody, what social medias, and of course the Kickstarter once again. Art, I'll start with you.
The easy one is just art at on any of those socials, but the biggest one for us at this moment, especially in about a week and a half or less than 2 weeks, is going to Kickstarter and looking up California Inc. INC, and hit that follow button so that when you get notified, you get that first 24 hours to get issue 4 or 1 through 4 digitally, physical, and even a couple of those fun pieces of merch. So come visit us there.
Awesome. Dave, anything you want to plug?
No, I'd agree with him on that one. And there's all these different variant covers that we've got going on for
That's right.
not to be ignored. I mean, there's some amazing artists that have some awesome artwork on there. So there's just it's definitely worth checking out, and we definitely appreciate any support you give to that Kickstarter. Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Grave, all of your
That's me.
information, sir.
I am Gregor, co-host of the Mostly Pod at Night, Mostly Podcast.
They mostly
Pod.
at night. Mostly.
You can follow us on social media at Pod Out at Night. We have new episodes of that coming out. We are doing our top 5 and bottom 5. I'm releasing that. I didn't release it yesterday. We're doing it this weekend, plus another episode with new movies. We're doing the I Am Legend trilogy next for their next
God.
reviews. Yeah.
He is going to wreck that movie.
Oh, I am.
Are you guys doing both endings?
We're going to do the Vincent Price, Last Man on Earth. Then we're going to do Omega Man, and then we're doing Will Smith's Last Man on Earth.
Right.
Am
Well, that's what I'm
Legend,
saying
and-
for I Am Legend, because there's 2 endings. So are you guys going to do both endings?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And make sure to follow Conversations in the Void, where we're talking to awesome people in the horror industry. We're expanding that to no end. We're going to a Comic-Con here in February in Akron, Ohio, to meet awesome people as well. So check it out.
Awesome. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know who I am. I'm your boy, Young Phil. Of course, if you want to connect with us, you can connect with us on all the social media places. If it exists, we are there. Follow us on all the places: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm still never calling it X. It's going to be Twitter until the day I die. Twitch, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, Discord. We are on Blue Sky now, so you guys can follow us on all the Blue Sky. I've been pretty active there and just trying to make the dumbest jokes that I can, because I am a hack writer, and we all know this. MySpace, Vine, GeoCities, Friendster, Second Life, AIM, Farmers Only, Christian Mingle, OnlyFans. It's only pictures of Aaron Watson's feet and Mandels, the beard,
Ooh.
Jamez's glasses, just sitting there on the table, judging you for not buying all the merch. And of course, anything that you can pay, you can give Shadu any amount of money, and he will do anything for money. So if you guys really want to know what the 3 penny opera is, then you must ask Shadu, and he will gladly introduce you guys to the 3 penny opera. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like us to break up with your boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other, pet, schoolyard bully, annoying neighbor, or just tell us how much you enjoy us, hate us, or wish the internet would consume us completely and spit us out at the feet of stars as they're fighting Nemesis.
Wow. Beautifully put.
Nemesis.
Nemesis.
Nemesi.
There are 2 dudes with their face pulled back and like badly burned with rocket launchers for an arm. That sounds like 10 times weirder when you say it out loud. And then you realize, oh, this is the actual character. You can email us at
Oh man, spider legs, arachnophobia. That's the reason why, right?
Spider legs. I think that's probably why everybody decided to hate on Darth Maul.
It's why they hated it in the Wild Wild West, isn't it?
That is why they hated Wild Wild West. Like, why do I want to watch a movie about a mechanical spider?
Because he wasn't in Superman.
It's true. True. Giant spiders, not in Superman. Hey, Kevin Smith, I know you watch the show on a regular basis. I wish he did, because I mean, I've met him and he's an awesome guy. And
he is very nice, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Awesome.
I made him cry. If you know Kevin Smith, it's not a hard thing to do.
Did you? Was it like because you pinched him? What happened?
Yeah, no, I stepped on his foot.
He tickled his balls on the way down.
Whoa! Oh my god! What happened? What's happening?
No, I basically told him what he meant to me as a creator, and how he inspired me to be a podcaster, and both him and Rob Paulson were major influences in my entertainment world and my entertainment life. So, yeah, so hence why I have all these bits by Rob Paulson on my soundboard. But then also, when I told Kevin Smith all this, he cried. And then he took a selfie with me, and it's on our Instagram. It's great. Love the guy to death. He agreed to come on the show. That was about 2 years ago. So, and I know he's got ADD, and he is doing 1,000 shows a day. I'm not upset that I never heard back from him, but I at least got to tell him how much he meant to me, and that meant more to me than anything. So there's that.
Right.
Still not to say that he won't be on the show at some point, but I mean,
I'm sure he will.
Yeah. Once he remembers, oh, that's right. And it's funny because we know a lot of like Kevin Smith adjacent people. Like we're actually like I'm actually friends with Ming Chen.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, and I text him on New Year's because our buddy Jeff, we've been on a mission. So if you hang out with Ming Chen, he will force you to drink Malort, which is like shit in existence.
Who?
And my friend Jeff said that he came up with two. He made it his life mission to make a drink with Malort that tastes good. And he says that he came up with two.
I don't believe him.
Well, we're gonna try it next Monday, so we'll see if it's true or not. But I text Ming when he told me, and he goes, "I fucking doubt that, bro." And I was like, "I'm gonna try them." And he goes, "Let me know, and if they're good, we'll try it. We'll try it together next time we hang out." So, but I mean, all right. Well, that's it. That's right. insnerding@aol.com on there. If you guys didn't catch the bit, you notice how there's a long gap between dist and ints.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's there for a reason. Well, that is it from us, ladies and gentlemen. So, as always, remember, keep nerding together. We will see everybody tomorrow for a full bracket day. So let's have some fun. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the dance party. And for once, we warned Art and Dave about it so they know what we're doing. So let's get this going. And go.
Turn off my light. Crap.
It's so washed. Oh shit! It's Uncle Owen.
That's it, Peru.
There it is. I can't. There you go. Wait, hold on. Let me get a different one. Get closer.
No one ever expects the dance party.
Yarr! The pirate life for me. Pirate life for me. What the fuck was I talking about? I don't know. What is happening right now?
Still in that regular packaging.
That's like 90% of my pops.
First try.
Yes! I'm a bat. You're not a bat. This is how John Mez gets on the show.
It is.
James and Funko Popcorn. We'll see everybody tomorrow.
Bye.